We are going to talk about Snuff R73 today. We're going to talk about, is it real?
Oh yeah,
and what is it exactly?
This does. But as soon as someone would mention R73, everyone would shut up. There were people in the comments of the original question like, you can't talk about that. Do not talk about that on the ClearNet. Only talk about it on a Tor browser.
And here we are, Snuff R73. This shit is talked about more than a Kardashian controversy.
Production stuff made for it. In other words, people with money producing it. And by a lot of people who do sort of mention on the ClearNet, they imply this may be the worst snuff film out there.
I didn't think I'd be making another video quite like this one, but here we are. So, did a video a few months ago called Do Not Watch Snuff R73. And in that video, I proceed to talk about kind of the myth that surrounds the actual mixtape of Snuff R73. That is that there's another version of the mixtape containing stuff like CP, CSAM, and a whole bunch of other illegal content that you can't find anywhere on the internet without doing a lot of illegal digging. Well, here I am. Is there another version with CSAM, CP? There's a different version out there. I was wrong about Snuff R73. So, what do I mean? After making the What is Snuff R73 video and discussing the history on the mixtape, I suddenly discovered that, well, I was wrong. There is in fact a harder version of the mixtape that does exist named... But does this mixtape include the sickening and illegal Daisy's Destruction? Well, to best answer the question, no. So, what does this mixtape even represent? What truly is Snuff R73? Well, like some of the other mixtapes that have been brought to my attention, it's a mixtape of child abuse and death for anyone to watch. The mixtape contains footage of children who have been either badly injured or dead from the War on Terror that lasted from 2001 to recently ending in 2021. However, though, what makes this especially sad is with the final clip of the actual mixtape being that of a toddler being violently assaulted by a man in the streets of China. This one clip has managed to gain some extreme publicity about it, given the fact of how violent the actual occurrence was, and not to mention, who would even do this? And here's the worst part about the mixtape. It was made to actually be used in fetishes for these kinds of things. The people who are watching this are probably more than likely watching Daisy's Destruction. The fact that this video even exists and was made for the sole purpose of fetish is disgusting, vile, and absolutely revolting. Holy shit. What's even worse than this existing along with Daisy's Destruction is that these two are not the only one of its kind. Mixtape showing the abuse and death of children seems to be extremely more current and normal the more you do some research into it. As of this moment, there is one mixtape more infamous than Snuff R73 that has been sort of the catalyst for people to dive into this sick rabbit hole, horrifyingly named Amber Alert is currently one of the most infamous, if not the most infamous mixtape out there on the clear web. Not to mention, it has been widely regarded as one of the worst mixtapes to have ever been made, period. When people discuss these topics, the topics of crime on the internet, and more specifically child crime on the internet, at some point in the conversation, mixtapes like and Amber Alert appear in the conversation. What makes the existence of this mixtape so mind-boggling is how did we even get to the point of there being two versions of the mixtape and why the runtimes are so shockingly different. In order to establish the information of the runtimes, I did have to do some of my own research into this topic. The original mixtape, the famous one with all the myths behind it, clocks in at an hour and 30 minutes and 24 seconds. Now, for the video, the mixtape clocks in at a surprising 10 minutes and 55 seconds of the worst kinds of footage on the fucking internet. It is awful that we as a society have come to a point where this stuff even exists, but the reason for these two mixtapes being so drastically different is that originally the man who made had planned to release the mixtape as is, a nearly 11-minute video of depravity. But when he sent it around to his friends, they said it was too short and that in order to gain the fame that he wanted, he would need to make one longer and more, I guess, mainstream. He would then go on to watch MD Pope and would proceed to take over 85% of the footage from that mixtape to create what would be now known as Snuff R73. But this is where the situation goes from weird to fucking ludicrous. I had previously stated how there was some sort of drama in the mixtape community with the creator of Snuff R73 and Thomas Cinemagore, which actually caused somewhat of a drama in the mixtape community. Thomas MD Cinemagore was absolutely pissed when this mixtape came out because it was a copy of his MD Pope series. But what makes this so awful is the result from the feud to begin with. With the release of Snuff R73, Thomas Cinemagore was extremely offended by the release, talking about how much of a copycat the mixtape was. This prompted Thomas to find more information on the creator, leading him to discovering the 11-minute mixtape. His response was horrifying. Thomas wasn't disgusted nor shocked by the 11 minutes. As a matter of fact, he felt inspired by it, because Thomas wanted to be known as the most sick man alive, he stepped it up to the next level with MD Pope 2. Even longer mixtape of the worst the internet had to offer, and I do mean the worst. But we can't talk about this one. Not yet. Ultimately, what I was wrong about with my previous video on the mixtape was the idea that there was no other version of the mixtape containing harder and more disgusting footage including children. I was wrong because there is a mixtape containing the abuse and death of children that's around 11 minutes in length. But what there is not is a mixtape containing content from Peter Scully, the worst man currently alive. There's nothing containing CP or CSAM content in the mixtape, so this is officially not real. The mixtape of the illegal Snuff R73 has now been explained and officially debunked once and for all. Well, guys, there you go. That was me officially putting a rest to the actual true story behind Snuff R73. Did I really expect to make this video? No. As I said, there is no version out there that I know of that has CP or CSAM. But I do know of, well, what we just spoke about, and shocking. It really is. This little whirlwind of shit that this series has taken me has pulled me into, is something I really didn't account for. But guys, I'm done speaking of Snuff R73. It's over.